Okay, I'm going to read an excerpt today from a non-fictional essay I wrote called The Greek LSAT. One by one, the students started filing in. I may as well just pack my bags and go home, I thought to myself, for it seemed like every letter of the Greek alphabet, sigma, delta, iota, was firmly emblazoned upon the attire of the slim and petite sorority girls who entered the classroom. And equally on display were jackets of the more hefty fraternity boys who made their entrance a short while later. Somehow, when I agreed to teach the preparation course for the law school admission test at the big public university that was the football rival of the flagship university my family had been affiliated with for 3 generations, I had rationalized my transition to enemy territory by envisioning myself as helping poor, hardworking students get a chance at being admitted into law school. While the law school admissions test being such a hurdle for young students to overcome, I felt especially inspired by my newfound mission. But now as I stood there watching my students happily making their entrance, I once again took in the array of epsilons and kappas before me. I realized that the students sitting within my line of vision were far from being the deprived pupils I had envisioned, leaving me to seriously debate whether or not to just leave. After all, I could always apologize to my boss afterwards with the feeble explanation that my previous commitments prevented me from going through with teaching the class. Couldn't I? The minutes kept winding down with the pounding of my heart increasing rapidly. And when the appointed hour for class to begin arrived, I was still standing in front of the podium, speechless. My nickname in law school was Socialist Pollyanna, and now I was in a position where I'd be helping the exact type of student that I felt didn't need any extra advantage. After all, these students just spelled Southern Pig, big public university sorority and fraternity kids, a mold I knew all too well. With my own law school class having been filled with Greek system alumni who readily clung to their supply-side economic, pro-corporate, and quasi-elitist points of view that I frequently argued against during our class lectures, learning after much time that they weren't always as privileged as the views they argued in favor of. It made me wonder if it was wishful thinking on their part. How in the world can I go through with this commitment I voluntarily signed up for? I asked myself, all the while standing mute before these students. Then it dawned upon me that since the Greek alphabet was the first alphabet to make use of symbols for both vowels and consonants, there must be some merit to it. And with a heavy weight pressing down upon me, I convinced myself to at least try and go through with the first session. Just the first session, I reasoned. Then I could resign as soon as I got back home, I thought. And then I'm going to skip the bulk and then go towards the end. With the LSAT prep course being a short one, the classes began winding down to a close almost as soon as they began, making me sad at the thought of them ending. At the same time, I was excited about the leaps and bounds with which these eager pre-law students' reasoning skills had improved. And while I was looking forward to having more time to devote to my other endeavors, I was overcome with sorrow when my students left the classroom, one after the other, at the end of our final session. The room was now empty, mirroring the emptiness I was feeling in my heart after bidding my students farewell. 1 year later, when one of the LSAT prep teachers wasn't able to finish teaching their course, I did not hesitate. I eagerly jumped at the chance to teach again and taught it regularly every fall, spring, and summer for the next 4 years until the pandemic hit.